What's going on, King of Kings family? It's day 34 of our Lent campaign, dwelling in the Gospel of John through the 40 days of Lent. And today's reading is John chapter 18, verses 25 through 40. We see the final two of Peter's denials of Jesus, and then Jesus' trial before Pilate. And the part that caught my attention, I've read this passage, countless times. I've preached on it a number of times. The part that caught for me today was in verse 28, where we see that the Jewish leaders take Jesus from Caiaphas to the Roman governor's house where he was staying, but they don't go in because as they deliver Jesus to be condemned to die, they don't want to be made ritually impure by going in Pilate's house. So it wasn't that they were going to have Jesus killed that would have made them impure. That's what they were concerned about. It was, we can't walk in the house. And I just think about how that is majoring in the minors, that in their concern for ritual purity, doing things the right way, they completely missed the point. They completely missed the point that Jesus had come to be the Messiah, to reconcile the people's relationship to God. And they completely missed that because he wasn't the Messiah that they wanted. And so it wasn't the execution of Jesus that would have made them impure. It was the walking into Pilate's house. And I just think about all the ways that we major in the minors as well. I think about in the church's history, particularly in the Lutheran tradition, in the 20th century. First, it was whether we have worship in German or in English. That was a big fight. Or all the various languages that people came over from and wanted to. So there were fights about what language worship was in, and then there was fights about what kind of worship we would have, whether we were liturgical versus contemporary, and all the worship wars around that. In different churches, they fought over the color of the carpet. They fought about what setting in the hymnal we were going to be singing. They fought about the types of small groups we would have and what types of people we would do mission for and with. There's only certain types of people we're not going to extend welcome to, and certain ones we are. And it just feels, those conflicts feel a little bit like this. We're fighting about this thing. We're focusing on this minor thing, like the Pharisees, focusing on ritual purity, when the whole point was that Jesus came to reconcile us to God. And that really what we should be about is the focus on that, and let the other stuff, they're minor things in comparison to the death and resurrection of Jesus. When we make the minors, when we major in the minors, that's actually idolatry. We are idolizing in the same way that the religious leaders were idolizing their ritual purity to the point that they completely missed Jesus. There are things that we focus on and that are way less important than the worshiping passionately, connecting deeply, living generously in response to what Jesus has done. We're idolizing those things as well when we do that, and I do it. There's ways in which I will idolize certain things. And it doesn't feel good to hear that. It doesn't feel good that things that we've found so important and so meaningful might actually be idolatry. Just because it doesn't feel good to hear doesn't mean it's wrong. And so I think we really have to check ourselves and make sure that is our devotion to Jesus greater than our devotion to whatever religious thing is important to us. I would ask ourselves that question. I would ask yourself this question. If Jesus asked me to stop practicing my faith in this way that's really important to me, how would that feel? Would I be willing to do it? And if the answer is yes, then that's a sign that we're submitting ourselves to Jesus. We're submitting ourselves to the important thing. Man, but if we would have a really hard time with that, then I think we have to look at, is there some idolatry taking place here? I think that's something we have to at least wrestle with and consider, because when we idolize those things that are not actually Jesus, that is grounds for all kinds of conflict and all kinds of problems that Jesus already died to save us from. And so that's what I would consider today. Hopefully that's challenging for you. If it stings a little bit, it stings me too, so I'm right there with you. Have an awesome day, and we'll see you tomorrow. God bless.